Hello everyone, this is Grade 1, Module 3, Lesson 4 homework. The directions at the top say, measure the length of each picture with your cubes. Complete the statements below. So the first one we're going to look at is number 1, the lollipop, and that's over here. And it says the lollipop is blank centimeter cubes long. I'm going to show you how to do this two ways. One, if you have a group of centimeter cubes that you can stack, and one if you only have one cube that you are working with. So I have my stack of cubes here to the left side, so I'm going to pull one over and I want to match it up with the end point, which is right towards the bottom of that arrow. And what I mean by end point is I got to pick that bottom point, that lollipop, and I'm going to go all the way to that top point, and that arrow does a pretty good job helping me. So now I'm just going to stack these cubes. And I want to try to get them as close as I can. And I know I'm leaving a little space in between, but I want to push them as tight to each other as I possibly can, leaving no spaces. And I see that I'm pretty much there. I'm at the end point, and I have 4 cubes. So the lollipop is 4 centimeter cubes long. Now, to show you very quickly how to do this if you only have one cube, I'm still going to line up my first one with my end point, and I know that that's the end point of it. And I'm going to put a mark at the top of my first centimeter cube. That's telling me that this is 1 cube. Now I'm going to move it up, and again I want to get it as close to that top point there, that top end point, as I can. And I'm going to put a mark, and that's 2. And I'm just going to keep moving it up. And again, I want that as close to that line as possible so I can get an accurate mark on these. And that's 3. And then I'll move it up to my last one, which is 4. So again, it's showing that I used 4 centimeter cubes for it. Whether I stack these or whether I have the drawing next to it to support. The big thing to keep in mind with these is I just want to make sure that all of the cubes are touching. So let's take a look at number 2. And the stamp is blank centimeter cubes long. And I see this one's horizontal where my last one was vertical. And I'm looking right here at the stamp of the cat. And again, I'm going to bring down my cubes, and I'm going to start at my end point, and I'm going to stack these going across. And I see that that's good right about there. And I got these as tight as I possibly can, without any real spaces in it. And I know that that's 5 centimeter cubes because I have 5 of them right there. And again, I'll go through one example with just 1 cube. So I'm going to make my marks kind of above it. And I'll slide this over and keep making my marks, trying to do the best that I can to get them as close as I can to where they actually are. And I know I'm getting kind of close to it, but I'm still going to come up with about the same answer. And we'll see that it's not quite as accurate as just pushing the cubes together, but it's still pretty good. So that's what I have right there for number 2, showing 5 centimeter cubes. Let's take a look at page 2. And on page 2, I got my stack of cubes here to the left, and I'm looking at the bow first, and I see that it's horizontal again. And here's the bow I'm looking at, and I see the bow is blank centimeter cubes long. So I'm going to slide my cubes over, and I want to get them right on that end point. And I'll see that when I slide all my cubes over, I'm at 3. So 3 centimeter cubes. And I'll do number 7, and I'm going to do it the other way now with just 1 cube, just so you can see. We're probably going to be stacking cubes together. It's best to do cubes together, but if you only have 1 cube, you can try this. And I'll slide that, and I'm going to make a mark. And I'm going to rotate that up. And make a mark. And then rotate it up. Make a mark, and I see I have 1, 2, 3. So the mug is about 3 centimeter cubes long. If you have a full group of cubes, it's best to do it the way we did up here in 5, because we can push them together and it's showing 3 of them. I'm just showing you down here with the 1 cube, just in case to show you that we're using the same size cube over and over when we do these. So let's take a quick look at the image. And we want to circle the picture that shows the correct way to measure. And here we have all of these cubes, and we know there's a couple things we have to keep in mind. One is endpoints, meaning we have to line up our cube with the endpoint of an object. So all of these. So any one that isn't lined up with the endpoint, like A, you don't have to do this, but I'm going to cross it off and just say, because it's not at the endpoint, my first cube is behind it. So I know immediately that that's not going to be a correct way to measure, because it's got to be on the endpoint. Another thing that we have to keep in mind is the cubes touch. And I would add more, but they don't overlap. They have to be touching each other. So back on page 1 and 2, we made sure those cubes were touching each other. They weren't overlapping. There weren't spaces between them. We had them touching. And even when I used the 1 cube, I made sure to draw my line, move my cube up, and set it right on that line to show that that was touching the previous cube. So that's really important too. And I see in here that we have a space here where those cubes aren't touching. So that's not a good way to measure. And over on this one, the cubes are overlapping each other. So they're touching, but they're not up against each other. They're overlapping. And that's not a correct way to measure either. So we're left with this one down here. And I know this is correct because it's on the endpoint. And our cubes are all touching each other with no spaces and no overlaps. And I can clearly see that this goes right here to this endpoint, making it 4 centimeter cubes. For the very last part, you're going to have to explain what is wrong with the measurements for the pictures you did not circle. We went through that up above. So I might put A, B, and C, and then just list why A is not correct. It's because of the endpoints. Why B is not correct because of our spacing between our cubes, and why C is not correct with the overlaps. If you can come up with any other way that those are incorrect, that'd be great to put down there too. I hope this helps, and good luck on your homework.